So, okay, a couple of things. So, I'll introduce myself. My name's Jake DeRosa. I've been in real estate 20 years, I can say, this year. So, I lead a team in the Fair Oaks office. We have a team of, right now we're about 12, 13. So, last year we helped 140 families in the greater Sacramento area, with 6 of us. And yeah, so I love this. I started out in mortgage, actually owned a mortgage brokerage and a real estate brokerage, and came over to real estate and kind of found my passion there. And so I've been doing that since, just real estate since 2012. So definitely have a little bit of knowledge here and been through a lot of transactions, written a lot of offers. I think I've written in every single market there is too. So hopefully we can get you some value today and really go through this and talk at a high level. Questions for you, I always like to ask this, and being that you don't know what you don't know, is there certain things that you really like have any burning questions that you want to make sure I cover today? We just want to go through the content and just kind of learn. Sounds good. All right.
More prepared for that question.
Let's think about a question.
Yeah, think about it. And also to jump in, guys, if you have a question or you have anything that you want to ask, just feel free to, I don't care, you don't have to raise your hand, it doesn't matter to me.
Can you raise your hand to the camera so it can get on you? Did it do it? No.
I don't know.
No. Now do it
Is
again.
this special camera?
Hold it up, hold your hand up until it blinks. Why doesn't it like you?
Oh, hey, you still do now, Carl?
See? I always say I have a face for radio, so maybe this is true.
It likes me.
That's it.
Yeah, it's got you.
No, it didn't do it. Okay, come here.
He's
Now do
holding
it
his
again.
hand down a little bit.
There it goes.
All right, you good?
Now it should follow you.
Yes, there we go.
Can you guys just tell him if the camera gets off him?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it'll just be like pointed at the ground and then Zoom people can't see you.
No worries, no worries. All right, so this is super important, guys. So one of the things that we want to do is when we're talking about growing your business, right? I'm just going to kind of go through these. Is you guys have the lead generation, right? And they've talked a lot about it. We, as our team, we actually come in the office every single day. We come in at 8:30. We do our scripts in practice, and then we actually lead generate for 3 hours. That's how important it is to the business. It's actually become it's a non-negotiable. Our partners come in 4 days a week, but make sure you guys do it. Here's the thing, in real estate, it's easy, not simple, or it's simple, not easy, right? And the goal is to do more real estate transactions, you gotta have more real estate conversations, right? So huge thing. So this is part of the running the business, show buyers houses, negotiate contracts, and we're gonna kind of go into that making and receiving offers here. So the offer process, so I'm gonna assume that we have, let's back up a little bit. What I like to do is I actually, it's a process from the very beginning. When you're making an offer and you wanna get your offer accepted, you guys have heard kind of the market is maybe competitive right now, yeah, right? So you've gotta do it at a high level to get the results for your clients, okay? And one of the things that it starts off with is, let's say for instance, I want to show some houses or I'm going to get out to the house. What I typically will do, I will try and get out. A lot of times you'll see in the MLS that it actually will say no or not looking at offers until Monday. We're not looking at offers till then. And a lot of times what happens is some agents will actually just say, well, hey, we're not looking at offers anyway. It's like Thursday. And they'll wait till the weekend, right? I say don't do that. I say get out there, unless you absolutely can. I just got a contract in place on this last Friday, because I basically went out there Thursday, the day it came on. I called the agent and said, hey, what do we need to do to make this an accepted offer and you guys not have open houses? So you can actually lock down, right, listings by creating an offer that works for the sellers and creating an offer that makes sense for them, okay? So what do I do? Well, I'll set up the listing. I'll set up to show the home. Now, if my clients love it, then I'm gonna make a phone call, okay? I'm gonna call the agent. And the first thing I'm gonna ask them is I have a set list of questions that I typically go through. I always first and foremost is build rapport, okay? It's just like when you're talking to anyone, talking to a client, you're at an open house, whatever that looks like, I wanna build rapport with that agent. So what do I say? You know, great listing, hey, how'd you get it? They took such great care of the house. And I try and I use those types of questions in conversation just to make really small talk. Some agents are not gonna love it, right? Some listing agents, there's a lot of them out here, but make sure you're trying as hard as you can to build that rapport, okay? And so then at that point, what I ask is, you know, if it is a situation where they're looking at offers on a certain date, I'm gonna ask what's important to the seller, right? What's important to the seller? Aside from price, what are the sellers looking for? It's my favorite question. And what I go into is, I ask a lot of questions around that too, okay? And so when I say that,
I was wondering, what kind of answer do people give, like?
it depends. Sometimes you'll get, the clients need some time to transition from when they sell the house and move to their new place, so they're looking for rent back,
Okay.
right? Sometimes they don't want a quick close. Like a lot of agents, I just got 6 offers on this house I listed in Elk Grove, right? I got a call from maybe 1 or 2 of them, so know that when you do call, you're of the few, right? And that stands out. Because when I'm able to talk to the agent, have a conversation with them, and really ask questions about their client and find out the qualifications, those types of things, it's super helpful for me as a listing agent. Especially a listing agent who has a lot of listings, right? So call them up and have that conversation, but you know, it could be, you know, I got a bunch of offers that my clients need 30 days and they would love rent back, right? They didn't want a fast close. Why? Well, because we put it on the market because the market's good right now. They have a new build that's not gonna be done until October. Well, guess where they have to move right now? They have to move in with their in-laws. They do not want to spend extra time with their in-laws. That's like, no, right? And so literally, they're like, okay, you're gonna have to, and I was talking to them last night, because we ended up getting 60,000 over. I was talking to them last night, and they're like, you're gonna have to check on us and make sure we're still alive, right? So they didn't necessarily want a quick close, but I got a bunch of offers that were 15 days, 21 days, and we gotta count that back to the terms of your seller. So those are the questions you wanna ask. What type of time period are your sellers on? That would be a good question to ask. Aside from price, what's important to your sellers? I always ask, you know, what's the situation with your sellers? Because I want to find out if it's a happy sell or if it's a sad sell. I mean, if they're getting divorced, if they're moving into a new house, whatever that looks like, right? Making sure, you know, do they need rent back? Do they need time after close? Are they looking for a long escrow? Are they looking for a short escrow, right? Those are the questions I'm asking. Everyone knows it's price and terms, right? I mean, sellers are selling their house to get usually net the most amount of money, right? Sometimes I've talked to agents and they said, hey, make sure you send a letter from your clients because it's important to your clients to that they sell to another good family, right?
Okay.
So find out what's important to that seller because we want to make it, right, our values, Keller Williams, one of them is the win-win. We want to make it a win-win and we want to also make the offer attractive to the sellers, right? So that's the first thing I do. Calling them, I'm digging on the questions, I'm asking as many as I can, and really trying to find out a good strategy. Now, what I also do, the next question is, do you have offers? Ask, do you have offers? And then if they say no, I say, okay, well, have you had conversations with agents who are gonna write offers, right? What's that look like? If they say yes, what I typically will do is I will say, well, where are they at, right? Where's your offers at? Oh, I can't tell you that. Okay, cool. And what I typically will do, the strategy I use is if I get someone who's not gonna tell me, I say, awesome. And then I go down another path and have some small talk, and then I come back to the question again, and I say, well, I know you want to do right. Is it like, I start using percentages. Is it like 5%? Is it 7%-ish, 10%-ish? Because a lot of inexperienced agents, and I wouldn't say inexperienced, but just, I don't know, maybe not the best at negotiations, they'll feel it's okay to do a percentage versus actually giving me the offer price, right? So if I get it, that's 10% over, right? If it's 10% over asking price, and I know that if it's listed at 500 or 550 or better, we know we need to be at that area. And I'm just real direct with people. I have a lot of relationships out there, which is awesome because I've been doing it so long, and I just, hey, what do we need to get this done, right? Now, if it's a situation, now that's if it's a situation now where they're accepting offer, say on a Monday, I'll do exactly what I did on Friday. Hey, look, my clients love this house. It's absolutely exactly what they're looking for. I know you're looking at offers on Sunday or Saturday or Monday. Is there a price or an offer that your sellers would consider and cancel the open houses? I'm locking down. I ask them straight up. You gotta ask the question though, right? You can't be afraid to ask the question. So I just ask them that, hey, what's the number your clients are looking for? Okay. Now, a couple things too, some really important things is, let's say for instance, they say, nope, we're going through the open house, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, we wanna see what happens, or the sellers wanna see what happens, that's okay. What I do is say, hey, I wanna make sure, that we're positioned in the best possible way to come in to get into this contract. Is it cool if I follow up with you, say Sunday, Monday before you, and I'm calling them, texting them through the process. And what I'm asking is simple. Hey, did you get offers, right? Where are they at, right? Hey, how do we best position our offer to make sure that we're in that situation? This is communication constant throughout the process until they decide on an offer, okay? Now, why do I do that? Well, I want to win the offer. I want to make sure that our offer is the best offer, my client's offer is the best offer, and I'm aggressive on it, and it works, right? So I'm going to stop right there. Any questions on any of that conversation? Because that's probably one of the most, if not the most important part of the offer process, is finding out information, staying on the agent, and finding out how you can best position your offer. Any questions on that? Do you have one?
I was gonna ask if I could just come to your morning training every Friday.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone's invited. It's always open, 100%. Any
I have a
questions?
question.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you ever have an agent get pissed off at you for calling so much?
I look at it like lead gen, right? Now, granted, I have to work with them, and at the same time though, is when I do lead generation, right, I make a bunch of calls. And I'm gonna ask a lot of questions and really go for a close on a conversation. And if I don't get it, and let's say they hang up or get pissed off, I'm in the same position as it was before I made the phone call. That's why I say it,
Okay.
right? I don't really care.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes, hey, there's good agents, like you call me, I won't give you the information, just so you know. It won't happen.
That's what I was thinking. It was like
Yeah.
every agent I know would be like, oh my God, this agent is calling me again.
And I appreciate the calls, because I had like, that one I just did with 6 offers, I had to track down an agent, his offer was okay, and I'm like, hey, because I called all my pre-qualifications, and I talked to the lender. If I call them, leave a message, or try and text them, and they don't get back to me, I'm not working with them. I advise my clients to not work with them, because this is the way they're gonna start the relationship. It's not gonna get any better. However, what do you have to lose? You're working hard for your client.
And the goal is to get your name on their phone and they see it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I respect it more because I know that agent's gonna communicate. I've been in contracts where the agent is like, you can't get in contact with them, they don't return your stuff, they don't return your calls, so when it's all said and done, I'd rather have someone as a selling agent, I'd rather have someone who's aggressive, and I know that's gonna communicate with me, than someone who isn't, and that shows that. But if you call me though, like, my answers to your question is aggressive. That's all I do, right? And we'll go into that here in a second. All right. Any other questions? Anyone in the chat?
What's your class tomorrow?
What's that?
We just do lead generation every day, and we do it at our office, and we do scripts in the morning, so it's a Monday through Friday. Gary, you had a question? I thought someone came up with you.
Yeah, so, quick question.
Yeah.
In the beginning of your business, what do you do as far as like getting out there and trying to network? What are some, are there any places you could recommend, like going like instead of door to door, like another way of networking?
Yeah, SAR has a lot of things. NAR has a lot of things. Not just NAR, SAR, PCAR, they have a lot of mixer things. You can definitely go there. I'll give you a tip of what I did when I first got into the industry, is especially as a new agent, is I would, after every transaction, I would actually call the agent that I did the deal with. And I would say, and I make sure I was on point, like the transaction was great, everything. And I just called them up and said, hey, Jim, hey, wanted to just reach out to you. I would love if I could shoot you over, if you wouldn't mind making a recommendation letter for me. And I'll actually do one and send one for you of what our experiences has been. And then if you could just write one out real quick, if you want me to write, I can do it, right? And I would actually send it. So when I was beginning in the industry, I'd have like 8 letters from other agents who worked with me about how great it was working with me, and I would send that with my offers. Right? Here's what you can expect with working with me, and I'd have a collection of letters. But you gotta give to get back, right? So I'd always write one out for them, sign it, and say, hey, it was such a great pleasure working with you. I've shot you a quick recommendation letter. Could you do the same for me? Even if it's an email, no problem, right? At least you have that email, you can print it and put it part of your offer package. Right?
Thank you.
Great idea.
Thank you. What's that? Gary?
Oh, just that was good. That's a good idea. Thanks a lot. I'm just taking
Yeah,
that.
no worries, man.
Appreciate it.
And then, like now I don't have to do that, right? I mean, I just put in at the end, my cover letter or my cover email, I just put, hey, I'm an agent who does, I do a lot of transactions, here's my user ID, please take a look at my track record, if you have any questions, call me up, right? So it's a different conversation now, but we all start somewhere, yeah? Any other questions? You had a question.
More.
Okay. So you gotta try and give your best foot forward, right? And so how do you do that? Just, be aggressive. We'll start working on your letters, right? Have someone in the office work, help you out with that, maybe put together some little letters for you. But you also wanted to, and we'll get to that, I'm kind of jumping ahead here. So we've talked to the agent, we figured out hopefully where it is, what that looks like. And so now we're gonna work with our buyers, right? Checklist to prepare and write an offer. So what I do is I do the legwork up front on my buyers, okay? And when I say that, is all of you should do a buyer consultation with every single one of your buyers, okay? And what I do is I will sit down with them. We have a full-on buyer consult that we use, right, our team. And what I do is I'll sit down with them and I'll talk about the benefits of home ownership, what the process looks like, how we're gonna find them homes. And you guys in command, you guys should have like a buyer consultation thing, is that correct? Do you guys have something in there where you can create your own? I think you do.
I use it in my teams, so I don't know about command.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we do.
What's that? Okay. Randy, did you have something?
Oh, no, I was just saying that we do have some resources of, working with a buyer
Okay.
to help us navigate that.
All right, that's awesome. Yeah. One of the biggest things is in your buyer consult, what you want to do is go to the market. Okay, what's going on with the market? So if I'm looking, have someone looking in Carmichael and Fair Oaks, I'm gonna pull the numbers, I'm gonna look at, share with them list price to sales price, I'm gonna share with them months of inventory. I'm also gonna share, and you can do this now, I prefer to do it before, however, you're gonna share months of inventory, you're gonna share days on market, and the reason is, and I'll go through it real quick, is for instance, hey, Mr. Buyer, you know what, right now we're in a very competitive market. Good reason we're in a competitive market is because, you know, there's less inventory, but also because interest rates are great. So it's still a good time to buy for you, okay? Here's what I want to share with you though, is right now in Carmichael, we're seeing a 103% sales price and list price. So what that means is that if someone is essentially making an offer on the house is listed at 300,000, on average, they're getting 309,000, so they're above asking. So we have to be aggressive, right? We have to be aggressive, and there's gonna be certain situations where we may have to go above asking price, actually a lot of them, and then you have that conversation with them. Also, the days on market, they're not taking long to sell because it's such a competitive market. You wanna educate them on the market so that they're not trying to come in and say, oh, we're setting it off at asking. Because right now, depending on the house, unless it's been sitting, you know, a lot of times at asking price isn't gonna fly, right? It's not just not going to. I also educate them on the appraisal gap. So and then again, it goes back kind of before into the buyer console is, hey, if your max is 600,000, we probably shouldn't be looking at $600,000 price homes because, going back to the market report, right? Or our market analysis, because homes are going 25, 30, 40, $50,000 over. Let's have you looking at 550, that's our max now, prepared to go above asking price. Also has a conversation of appraisal gap. Do you know what an appraisal gap is? Anyone? Do you know what an appraisal gap?
Yeah.
Anybody? No? Appraisal gap. So if the home doesn't appraise at the offer price, buyer will make up the difference, right? Let them know we're seeing a lot of that in the marketplace right now. I just countered off someone's appraisal contingency. They went $60,000 over asking price. So I had to counter out their appraisal contingency because we can offer as high as we want. The thing is that unless it's backed by some type of cash or guarantee, it doesn't mean anything. It's just an offer, right?
That actually brings up a question, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's say you're dealing with a situation where, I was kind of in the situation recently where the seller just super vague on like what the other offer is. He told
selling
me,
agent?
yes, he told me like they removed contingencies and whatnot, but as far as like the offer price, he wouldn't tell me.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, like what's your process of determining a good number to throw down? Is it just doing a good CMA and trying to figure out where you think it's gonna appraise? And depending on how much money they have, do appraisal gap or they'll do appraisal gap type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of I asked him, did he tell you how many offers he got?
He had one,
He had one. Okay, cool.
but they removed all contingencies.
Perfect. Well, so what he's trying to do is he's trying to tell you all the good stuff about the offer, so you think that because that's the beauty of getting multiples, right? I mean, as a listing agent, the beauty of getting multiples is that you have people fighting over for it and they do crazy stuff, right? So he's giving you the goods, he didn't share with you what the offer is, trying to get him to say, hey, well, kind of just so I can best position and make your clients happy, my clients happy, is there a percentage point, or did you ask him that?
That's a good thing I should have done, I never thought about that.
Yeah, just ask percentage. I don't know why, but people are super comfortable giving you like, hey, it's 10% over. It's like 5% over
They
versus.
still feel like they're committing to their silence, even though they're not.
Did you ask them, is it?
I squeezed out of it that it was over 20K over,
Okay,
but
good.
he didn't. I was like, I'm thinking about putting in an offer after we talked for a while. I was like, I'm thinking like 720 might be good. And we chatted for a little bit, and I was like, well, 720 is probably not gonna be good enough, then, is it? He's like, yeah.
So here's another one. This is a really good one too. Is, hey, like, if you have a number that your client can go up to, or if you have a number in mind where you think a good offer would be fair at, I always just say this, hey, you know what, I don't wanna give you like another offer that you have to go through and that you have to break down for your client. My client's top is, give them a number, it's like 750, and I don't wanna waste your time. Am I even in the ballpark, right? Because they'll tell you, because no one wants to see another offer, right? And then you know it's 750 or better, right? At least you're given those things, and definitely ask those types of questions. You know, I don't want to waste your time or, you know, kind of time. They kind of have a max on there. If they offered at 750, is that wasting our time? Right?
It's a good way to squeeze it out of them.
Yeah, however you can, just keep asking questions. But I don't want to waste, go ahead.
Like, what scenarios do listing agents get into where they don't wanna
What do you mean?
disclose the offer price? What scenarios would cause a listing agent to not wanna say what the offer price is on the other offers?
Because you don't want to give them, let's say I give you 720, and then your client offers 725, we go to contract at 725, if I would have given a number, who knows, maybe your client offers 740, 750, I don't ever get numbers. I say it's aggressive.
Even if you have like 7 offers and they're like really high?
Most times, if we want to go higher, if I want to get an offer higher, I'll multi-counter it, right? Highs and best.
And that's, okay, that's how you go about trying to bid it up. See.
All right, so one thing I'm very clear with my clients at is I'm very clear that I give a worst case scenario, because from the beginning, I tell them I'm straight up with them. I'm a 10 out of 10 out of being upfront. So this talks about right here is comparative market analysis. I'll go through comps, and I know how an appraiser comps something out. They go out as maximum a mile, right? The closer the comps are. So if there's a house that's sold at 620,000 and we're offering 650, I just say, hey, here's the comps on this, here's the comparatives or comparables to it. You can see the model match just sold for 620. To get this, we have to offer 650. Now, we might appraise, I don't know, it's a third party, right? It's the appraiser comes in and makes an estimate and an opinion of value. But worst case scenario, there's a gap of 30,000. Are you guys willing to make that up if it doesn't appraise, or are you willing to come in with some money? And this could be the worst case scenario. I went $110,000 over asking price on the property we just got contracted. That was literally the 70 was the minimum I seen of over asking. But the clients are like, we want this house, they have money, we want this house, we don't care, here's where we need to go, and we almost got beat out by a cash offer. The only thing that saved us was our buyer letter, right? However, but I made sure I was super clear with them, hey, if it appraises at list price, here's the money you need to bring in, right? Boom, 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 boom. And they were very clear. So I always make sure that they understand what the value, it's all subjective, value is subjective, right? It's an opinion of value is what an appraiser does. But he's got to have numbers to back it. So if there's not the numbers to back it, they bring it up at that offer price. I'm just super clear with them when I'm talking to them about putting an offer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. What do we got here? Checklist. Create the offer in commands. Yes, do that. Cover letter template. This is really good. This kind of goes back to what I was sharing with you. It is so nice to see the new contract's awesome. The new contract is awesome because it breaks down everything nowadays. But it is so nice to see as when you get an offer, the breakdown of it. So what I do is I will say, dear so-and-so, thank you for the opportunity for me to present our client's offer. We're super excited. They absolutely love this house, blah, 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 whatever your heartstring stuff is, right? That this is getting closer to mom, this is gonna do this. Here are the highlights of our offers. And I give an offer price, 70,000 over asking, or whatever that looks like. The terms of the offer, are we shortening contingencies? Have we waived contingencies? What's the inspection contingencies, things like that, right? Deposit amount, are we giving them free rent? If I just list out the main bullet points in my here are the offers, right? And you can see here a brief description of the clients, explain the clients are attracted, describe your client's plans for the property I purchased, and then also I put in that. One thing you can do, who uses Gmail here? Anybody?
I don't even know.
Cool. You can create a template. I don't know if you know that. If you go into the bottom of Gmail, when you click new, there's a little drop down and it says templates and you can say create new. What I do is I have a template for this. So I don't have to rewrite everything. And every time I submit an offer, it just saves me about 5 to 10 minutes. I can change their story if I want, but I have an offer template that I use. I change the numbers and it becomes, just look at Google templates, you'll be able to find it.
Question,
Yeah.
so would that be, so your cover letter would be your email, and then the offer and the other documents would be PDFs you attach?
Yeah, that's how I do it. Sometimes people actually do a cover letter like this, and it's separate, it's an attachment, you can do it the same way. I choose to do it by email, personally. All right, buyer offer objections. Okay. So, when we talk about the market, we talk about making offers, I mean, what is it that you're gonna think that you're gonna hear as far as objections from the buyer?
They don't wanna remove an inspection contingency,
Okay.
but they may need to, if the offer is accepted.
Could be, yeah. What else? Anybody?
They don't like the idea that they have to do 1% earnest money deposit down.
Yeah.
That sometimes might be something to discuss, explain why.
Okay.
How do you talk about that?
So, a lot of times it's common for sellers wanting to make the requested repairs. And when they want to make, right now, what we're seeing is the majority is, yes, right now is maybe they don't want to waive a contingency, maybe they don't want to have an appraisal gap, right? Or maybe they want to offer and ask, well, right, that's what we're, because who doesn't want a good deal on real estate right now, right? If it's a hot home that's priced right, it will go over asking in this market we're in right now, right? I remember looking at comps not too long ago for a client of mine who I had run comps from like 10 years ago. I was looking on days on market, it was like 270, 200 days. It was a different market, but today's market, we're not doing that. So if they're not willing to go over asking, then chances are if we hit it, that's why the buyer consult is so important. I view the buyer consultation as an opportunity to head off all my objections of making an offer beforehand. All my objections of searching in areas beforehand, right? Hey, we talked about this, however, we're searching here now. Tell me a little bit more, has everything, has things changed for us, right? Hey, we talked about offers we're seeing at 103%, however, you want to offer an offer at asking that. I'm confused here, I thought we were in agreement that we were gonna be competitive here. So it's a good opportunity. So, objections you'll get, they want something repaired. Usually I don't, that comes in later. I mean, if they have all things up front, you might see it where it's, they might ask for it up front, like they have all the inspections, disclosures, things like that. They might want to get repairs up front. And majority of the time, it's going to be the amount that they have to go over, right? And that just comes back to, hey, I talked to the agent, here's where they're at. Is it worth it to them? And I just really wanted to be in this neighborhood, right? Any objection I have, I will take it back to their motivation, right? So, hey, you know what, gosh, they are going $50,000 over, that's where we need to be here, but you told me you want to get closer to your kids, your grandbabies, right? And that you want to be in a better neighborhood that you are now. Is that worth the money that you're gonna have to invest to get to where you need to go? Motivation is super strong. If you can take anything back to their motivation, that's where you're gonna win. Does that make sense? All right, presenting an offer to the listing agent. Here's a good thing. Notify the listing agent of incoming offer. Let them know. Shoot them a text. Hey, just shot an offer in your inbox. Can you confirm receipt? Okay? Send it to them. I've actually forgot to hit send and it's got stuck in my outbox. But luckily, because I notified the agent that it was coming, they said they had to get it, right? Set a deadline. All right. On your offers, you can set a deadline. So if you're trying to cut off an open house or cut off an offer review situation, you put a deadline in that it expires tomorrow. So if I'm writing it up at 8 o'clock, I will give the buyer or sellers till 1 o'clock, especially if it's a super great offer, right? But hey, look, either take it or leave it, because after 1 o'clock, this offer expires. And I make that clear in my offer, is hey, we went with a very aggressive offer. We went X amount over. We're expecting an offer by tomorrow afternoon, or else my client will move on and we will go look at other homes. To make it clear to the seller that, hey, you could lose out on this offer, right, if you don't accept it, right?
Sense of urgency.
100%.
Quick question, you ever been in a scenario where they're like, we don't wanna accept your offer, we still want the open house?
Yep.
And they do that, and then your seller was like, I still want your offer now, again. You been in that scenario? How does it work out? Does it kind of make you look odd to the current seller?
No, I just let them know where they need to be at this point, right? Who knows, maybe give them a lower price, I mean, maybe they didn't get what they got. You know, does it make them look like it? No, but, we got in service and be the fiduciary for our buyer, right? So we know what they want, right? And that even comes back to too, is guys, I wanna just make sure something really clear, because there's gonna be, you're gonna learn a lot about the, you know, contingencies, removing, right, doing those types of things. What happens is you're gonna actually want to go in and make sure that you're always doing the best for your client, right? Don't ever put yourself in a situation to where you're putting the client, right, or yourself ever ahead of the client. It's always for their best situation. I've told them not to write offers because they have a limit and it's gonna go over that limit. It makes no sense for them, right? I've advised people not to sell their house. You know, it'd be great to get a listing, but hey, why sell your house? I mean, you can't do anything else. The payments you're not gonna be able to afford, right, for certain things. So make sure that you're always putting the fiduciary should always be on your client. All right, set a deadline, create an offer in command, consult with your buyer when the seller responds, right? You get a response from the seller, it could be a multiple counter offer, hey, here's what they're saying, what do we wanna do? And then it kind of goes back to here, which is, right? You use your checklist. Okay, hey, they responded, they want us to go up 20 grand. Again, here's where the home's worth. Here's what that looks like. Boom, boom, boom. Right? All right, so now 8 questions. Let's stop real quick. 8 questions for me right now. Any questions you guys have?
What are the last 2 bullets on that slide with sending the offer?
This guy?
Not with the other.
This guy?
Yeah, great job.
Create the offer in command?
Okay.
Yeah. And then consult your buyer when the seller responds. So that's gonna be when they come back and they have a response at that point. Here's what they responded with, right? Questions? Anything?
Yeah, kind of not really necessarily connected to this, but kind of back to, trying to figure out a good price to offer. When it comes to buildings or objects or material facts around the property that would hinder the desirability, like a freeway or an industrial building, how much do you think that affects the appraisal? in your opinion?
That's a super deep question. That's not more of a CMA question. Let's get through this, and if we have time, I can cover that.
Okay.
Well, sure. And I'll be here for a few minutes after you can ask me.
Sure.
All right, so presenting the offer. Presenting the offer, so a couple things. In our market, with where we're at right now, a lot of it's all electronic communication, right? So there's not a whole lot of presenting the offer. You do have the right in the state or in California to request that your offer be able to present in person. Just so you know, I don't know if you guys do that. If you ever asked me to do that, I would deny it, right? I mean, there's no point in the agent coming to my seller's house to present it in person, because I want to be fair. In a situation like that, presenting, I think presenting the offer to the listing agent, it's all gonna be mostly electronic. So you gotta put your best foot forward with your cover letter. Okay, so checklist for presenting to the agent. I'll give you a 10-step checklist. So grab your pen. First step, call the agent, ask the questions we talked about. What's important to your seller other than price? Do you currently have any offers? What's the price of the offers? Go down another avenue, try and build some rapport. Ask them what percentage is the offers above asking if they have above asking. Do the old, hey, I don't want to waste your time. Or do you have offers above X number? So that I don't have to write or waste your time. That's my client's match, whatever, right? So you find that. You are going to put together your offer email. In that offer email, you want to have your residential purchase agreement, any accompanying docs. Pre-approval, go get your clients pre-approved, don't do pre-qualification, you want to send your pre-approval. Proof of funds, POF, proof of funds. Proof of funds is a bank statement showing that they have the money for the down payment they are doing and that they have the money for the deposit they're putting in, right? If it's VA, it's 100%. So make sure they have something showing that they at least have the money for the deposit, right? Proof of funds. Because here's the thing, guys, I'll share with you, when you don't put an offer together really well, and I have 20 offers as an agent, whoever didn't do the offer well is getting put at the bottom and we'll get just kind of passed over. I present all my offers. However, I will share with my seller that this agent didn't put an offer, I can't verify a proof of funds, and I'm not gonna chase it down when I have 20 offers, right? And I'm having to put this information. So make sure you got RPA, pre-approval, proof of funds. Your letter, your presentation offer or email or document, it was called, what they call it here? Cover letter, thank you. And then I always will do a heartstring letter.
What kind of letter?
A letter saying, from the buyer, saying why they want the property, what it means to get the property. We call it the heartstring letter.
So that'd be separate from the cover letter.
Correct. Someone here should have a good heartstring letter. I will tell you this, heartstring letter has become a very controversial topic because it's now been, buyers are suing sellers or lawsuits are happening about discrimination when they write the heartstring letter. They don't get chosen, right? So I'm gonna give you a rule. It's not a rule, it's an advice. I always will send it with my offer because it is competitive. It's in the residential listing agreement that the sellers can either review them if they choose, or they can not review them. I always make sure that my sellers never look at offer letter or heartstring letters so that they don't put themselves at risk. And I feel it's the listing agent's responsibility to protect their sellers. That's why I will include it in case they want to present it, okay? If you don't include it, then there's no chance of reading it, right, from a buyer side.
Have you ever had a position where you sent in a letter and they've actually dropped the price for the buyer?
I've gotten offers accepted where other offers were a better price offer because of my letter, yes. 100%, so it doesn't matter. We got 5 minutes, they've asked me to go really quickly, so we're just gonna jam through this, cool? Representing the seller. All right, you're gonna receive the offer, gather information about the buyer. What I do, so, okay, let me finish that checklist, sorry, let me just run through that. RPA, cover letter, pre-approval, proof of funds, heartstring letter, that's your 5. You send it. You CC your lender, tell your lender to call the agent. If the lender's not willing to call the agent, get another lender, okay? So they're gonna make a phone call and say, hey, Mr. Agent, this buyer's nails, it's awesome, they're great. You don't have nothing to worry with, we're already pre-underwritten, blah, blah, blah. Make sure your lender's calling these agents, okay? And then, at that point, you've got to follow up, confirm, so text the agent and stay in contact with the agent to see the process, if there's an offer deadline, right? See where you can better improve your offer. Hey, is there anything we can do to put our offer at the top? That's a great question to ask them, okay? So there's the checklist for the buyers. Want to do that? All right, now when you're representing the seller, you're gonna receive the offer, checking this. So here's what they say. So notify the seller, present the offer in person if possible. It's always the best way to do it. Sometimes I just can't, right? I mean, I have a 5 o'clock deadline and they want to see the offer that night. What I do is I have what's called an offer comparison sheet, which I put together, which is an Excel spreadsheet. Basically, I take every offer I get, I put it in, so the seller can decipher each offer, contingency periods, all those things. You can shoot me a message and I'll share it with you, okay? But basically it just outlines the offer in plain, right, the language they can understand. You send them an offer and say, hey, they offer 480, check it out. Have you seen the offers? They're like 16 pages. So you're like, what's this? Right, like what's going on here? So always make sure that I put it in terms that they can understand, right? Put the offer into perspective, given the current market. Present the offer, price, repairs, buyer motivation, contingencies. You want to go over all those. And then you make a decision, you counter, you accept or reject. Right? So, any questions on that? I mean, you're going to go over price, you're going to go over contingencies, and I usually will go over qualifications. Hey, we got proof of funds, I got plenty of money. I'll give you an example. We accepted an offer this morning on one of my Oak Grove listings. They were $60,000 over, okay? And I had to go back yesterday and I talked to the agent and I said, hey, you sent me proof of funds for $24,000. That covers the amount for their down, but you're going 60 over. What, are they willing to make the gap? Literally, she's like, yeah, so do they have the money? She's like, well, yeah, I get you that bank statement. However, I almost disregarded that offer because we had an offer that came up to 645 that had a lot of qualifications. But it could have very well, if I would have had another 670, 680 offer in there, we could have very well just disregarded that offer, hey, they didn't send proof of funds, we're not gonna respond to it. That's why it's so important when you're sending the offers that you cover all your bases. Does that make sense to you guys? So if they're putting 20% down, show their 100,000 somewhere. If they're willing to put away the appraisal gap, and let's say the list price is 600, you're going to 650, show that they have funds for that extra 50K. Does that make sense? Like, if not, I mean, it could just go right by the wayside, okay? Because those are all things I'm gonna cover with my seller. Hey, these guys got a pre-qualification, not a pre-approval. And if I have 6 other offers that have pre-approvals instead of pre-qualifications, that one goes to the bottom. Because when I'm presenting my offers to the sellers, they are just relying on me for advice. Sometimes they just say, do what you think's best. I'm like, well, let's talk about it, right? I mean, but, you want to make sure that you're, again, looking at all those things. That's good. Any pre-qualification and pre-approval? We can go over that here in a sec. Good question.
Sorry, give me one second here. Okay, go ahead, quick.
All right, reach a decision, counter the offer, accept the offer, reject it, negotiate, begin contract the close process. Buyer agent contacts listing team, learn more, don't assume, no means no. Okay, are you doing it again?
I think so.
Ahas, okay. So, let's do this. So you asked what a pre-approval. Pre-approval versus pre-qualification. Pre-qualification, the lender and the loan officer says, hey, 1003, they have what's called an application for a loan. So they'll pull it out, and then Carnegie will tell me, I make 20 grand a month, I have $1 million in savings, right? Boom, boom, boom. And I say, all right, Carnegie, based on that, you qualify for $1.2 million house. Pre-qualification, I pre-qualified it. Check. Problem is I haven't looked at any of it. He could just say that. Pre-approval is when they've sent in all their documents, their income, their assets, it's been sent to an underwriter, they've looked at it.
Also, pre-approval is better than pre-qual.
100%, you get your people pre-approved, submitted through underwriting if you could. What questions do we got? I know we went fast, I probably covered a lot.
You said that you would, send us over what if we emailed you?
Yeah, email me, my email is jake@sacrealestatesearch.com, I know it's terribly long. SAC, S-A-C, real estate, spell that, hopefully, search.com. It was the offer comparison sheet as well, I was sharing with you. So you can email me and if you need anything. Also email me to give you the 10-step offer submission. We have it written out, so you guys can have a guideline tool type thing.
Thank you.
I got a quick question.
Go
Wait
for
a
it.
minute. So I had a question about countering, right?
Yeah.
So what are our negotiations? I know we didn't talk too much about that, but I wanted to know as far as like if you had a price customer per se, and they're like, okay, diving into like, what can you negotiate really with a person who's just solely based on price? Like 2%, 3% of our commission, something. Is there any negotiation?
So I want to make sure I hear this right. So are you asking from a seller's perspective or from you representing the buyer?
If I'm representing a buyer.
Okay, and you're wanting to know what you can negotiate?
Exactly, yeah.
Everything's negotiable, so if you want to, are you trying to figure out how to make a stronger offer?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Higher the price, higher the deposit is important. Contingencies are super huge, right? The faster, because think of this way. Contingencies protect your buyer's escrow deposit, okay? They can't lose it without releasing all contingencies. So, but the contingencies are super important as well because it also, from the selling perspective, is once a buyer releases contingencies, it's pretty much kind of like all steam ahead. They can start ordering their trucks, they can start ordering their moving stuff, they can do all that stuff. So it releases stress from the seller too. So the shorter you can make contingencies, the faster the seller can make a decision on their moving situation. Does that make sense? Also, offer, if you remove appraisal contingency, remove things like that, a good one to go and get in is go into when they're having the residential RPA class, they'll go more into depth into that, but your contingencies, offer price, terms are gonna be super huge. And then also your costs on the offer itself. Who's paying escrow, who's paying home warranty, who's doing all that?
Last question.
Does that answer your question, Gary?
Yeah, what kind of offer price, terms, costs, those are all going to be the contingencies when I'm negotiating.
Yeah. All right, I gotta get out of here because I gotta get them to come in and change. If you guys, I'm set up right there. If you guys have more questions for me, just come over and talk to me, okay? Is that cool?
Thank you.
Anybody else on here have questions?
Thank you.